The COVID-19 pandemic has affected millions of lives globally and brought with it a great deal of uncertainty and risks to economic growth. At the same time, it has also put industries in the position to face and embrace new challenges. In the eye of a pandemic, rebooting the Indian financial services sector, a leadership series by Refinitiv, partnered by ET Now, is bringing together the industry's leading voices to address key questions surrounding economic recovery and the role that the banking and financial services sector will play in it. To understand the role of digital in supporting financial inclusion, Yuna Galani, Associate Editor, Reuters Breaking Views at Thomson Reuters, spoke to Seema Prem, co-founder and CEO, FIA Global, Chetna Sinha, Founder Chairperson, Mandeshi Bank and Foundation, and Sankarshan Basu, Professor Finance and Accounting, IIM Bangalore, on the topic Reaching the Masses, Digital Banking to Support Financial Inclusion.
We know that hundreds of millions of bank accounts have been opened in recent years. What do we still need to achieve beyond this? I mean, how much success has there been in meaningfully extending this concept to things like credit, remittances, insurance, and pensions, etc.?
Inclusion is the first step towards financial prosperity and financial security. And to that extent, India has done a tremendous job. There are just less than 195 million Indians who are unbanked now, compared to a scenario 10 years ago when more than 800 million Indians were either underbanked or unbanked. However, the progress on meaningful financial inclusion has been slow. And this is where now India needs to move with a similar sense of urgency. So if you look at mutual funds, insurance and pension, the penetration of these products in India, specifically rural India, is less than 5%. There are also about 700 million credit invisible Indians. A lot of these credit invisible Indians are first-time borrowers, and a majority of the first-time borrowers tend to be women. So the government and RBI, there's a long way for them to go to set up an enabling infrastructure and policies to ensure that you have wealth creation through micro mutual funds, you have wealth protection through micro insurance and micro pension schemes, and also job creation and economic activity generation through microcredit.
Professor, if I can bring you in, what are your thoughts on where we stand in the Great Financial Inclusion Project?
We've moved a long way forward over the last 10 years from about close to 800 million Indians who are unbanked. Today, less than 200 million, but 190 odd million who are unbanked. Huge progress for a country where financial inclusion has been a buzzword, not just for the last 5-6 years, but I think since about 2006 or 7 when we've launched the Swabhiman mission. I think what we've managed is the first step. We've got the basic infrastructure in place. We've got people into the system. The question is, are they really using it? And are they enabled to use it effectively? And that is where I think we still have a lot of way to go. It is in terms of the connectivity, it is in terms of access, it is in terms of even understanding what kind of products are there, and hence being able to utilize these accounts and this access meaningfully. One of the things that we've seen, and which has, by the way, been revived lately, but in 2016, when the Jan Dhan accounts were launched, after the initial burst of the accounts, most accounts hardly saw any transactions. And then that's really not going to help us. I mean, we need to kind of ensure that people are not just brought into the system, but they use the system regularly, for which there needs to be easy access and as well as understanding of the products.
Chetna, if I can bring you in here, your bank, your rural cooperative bank, is deep in rural Maharashtra, far away from the big city of Bombay. How do you feel we make this leap from cash economy to a more digital one?
Let me give you a story here. Anjana Bhise, she sells brooms on the street. In the pandemic, she couldn't do that. And so she decided that, okay, I cannot sell brooms, but a lot of people from Mumbai have migrated in the villages. And she created a WhatsApp group of 3 different villages and started selling vada pav and bhel online. And when she said that I will deliver it at your doorstep, but you pay me through mobile so that I can get a digital money and I can pay for my raw material through digital. And Anjana Bise comes from a Dalit community. Can you imagine? Digitalization, financial inclusion, all these are tools. But she made this, created a power around that tool. And she actually is breaking century old caste barriers where she is doing business with the open community, open caste, open Dalit, creating a wealth for herself. Again, I would just emphasize that unless she gets the ease of business, which means that when she does the digital transaction, she should get SMS immediately. Once she gets the message immediately, she finds the trust. So I do feel that financial literacy is great, but for poor people who have been cheated the most, when you want them to get the trust, two things are very important. First, easy business. Life should be easy. And the second, when I try, there should be success. And that success lies in bankers, success lies in policymakers. And when they do it and consider this, then women like Anjana Bhise you don't have to teach them. She's already with smartphone doing her digital business and getting digital money. And she has found out the digital source for herself.
Are there any regulatory changes that you think would help to accelerate this financial inclusion project through digital banking?
After the financial crisis or the currency crisis in India, the balance of payment crisis, private banks were allowed to reopen. We saw the way private banks actually went out into the market and essentially dislodged most of the public sector banks from their lofty portals or wherever they were perched. Yeah. SBI survived by the sheer size of its network. But in terms of SBI also had to kind of subsequently move back into the same level of access and digitization and automation that these private banks did. So I think that's something which we kind of need to do, and the regulator needs to enable the process to kind of do that. I kind of don't fault the regulator too much, because at one end, banking is also supposed to be the backbone of the social security of the country. So the limitations the regulator has in terms of allowing a lot of these things to happen and then relax the regular or take out regulation is a challenge. But at the same time, there has to be a calibrated move over a period of time. And it doesn't have to be a big bang reform. It doesn't have to be a big bang action. It could be a calibrated 2, 3, 5-year policy where you slowly open up and you slowly kind of deregulate. But the regulator has to provide incentives. The banking system, the banking network, the financial ecosystem has to kind of be leading it from the front. But the regulatory challenges the regulatory, I won't say I won't say roadblocks, but regulatory speed breakers, if I were to say, I would use an analogy, they need to be reduced. But at the same time, it cannot be, you can't move from a potholed road in India to a Formula One track overnight.
If we can just fast forward 5 to 10 years and take ourselves out of the current situation and imagine how much we might have developed. I mean, obviously, we've seen lightning pace of change in so many digital aspects in India. How will Indians in this later time period, how will they be banking and transacting?
One of our lady, goat doctor, she is a paravet, Radhika. She created a digital platform where women can sell their goats and buy the goats. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, the bankers, policymakers, nobody must have thought that way. So I do see that in 5-10 years, we will see some such examples which nobody would imagine, having a digital animal market taking place on one side. And on the other side, you have a younger generation who is actually, many people from rural area, from villages, they just don't get entry form for some courses just because they are staying in the remote locations. Now, even a person from a village can apply online and pay a digital fee. And I saw one of our ladies, she's making masks. Her daughter took admission for pharmacy from her village. So I see that drastic change is going to happen, where it is not that only Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, they will have all the facility. The Digital India will make and open the gate for these people also, rural people, remote people, tribals, and they will get an access. And I think that is the power. That this is the tool, but masses can become a powerful.
So 5 years, I hope my vision is to see a financially Atmanirbhar individual who is financially literate, can make database decisions on savings, protection, and wealth creation, all in a few clicks on a smartphone. That is one. Second is an empowered entrepreneur, right, who has access to formal credit and therefore contributes towards economic activity and jobs, and thus adding to our 5 trillion economy. And third is a vibrant AI fintech industry, which has got equitable access to a repository of government and private data, so that they can come out with cutting edge models for financial inclusion.